Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, today we're stepping into the high stakes, honestly kind of ruthless world of organizational survival. Whether you're looking at a massive multinational corporation or, just a small local business down the street, the forces that determine whether they thrive or completely collapse are often totally invisible to the naked eye. But once you understand the underlying frameworks, well, everything changes. We're going to unpack the foundational principles that allow certain organizations to endure for decades while others simply fade away. So, think about it for a second. How exactly do organizations survive turbulence? I want you to picture a company, right? Not as some static, boring office building, but like a ship navigating the open ocean. Sometimes the waters are perfectly calm, but inevitably unpredictable market storms are going to hit. Economic shifts, fierce new competitors, sudden changes in what consumers actually want, these are massive waves literally threatening to capsize the vessel. So how does that ship stay afloat? How does it avoid sinking when the external environment becomes incredibly hostile? Listen, it doesn't happen by accident, and it for sure doesn't happen by just hoping for the best. To understand how organizations keep their heads above water, we need to clearly define the exact discipline at play here.
Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1, defining the discipline. What is strategic management?
If you take away just one core idea today, let it be this definition. Strategic management is the discipline of shaping long-term direction, building competitive advantage, and guiding organizations through turbulent environments. Let's unpack that a bit, because it functions as both the compass and the captain's log for the entire journey. Shaping long-term direction? That's your chart. It's looking way past the immediate storm to where the ship actually needs to be in 5 or maybe 10 years. Building competitive advantage is like reinforcing the hull of your ship and upgrading the engine. It's creating this unique strength that makes you faster and far more resilient than anyone else in the water. I mean, think about legacy companies that failed to see the digital storm coming, right? They completely capsized because they lacked a long-term direction. Contrast that with companies that constantly reinforce their digital hull, building a competitive advantage that lets them just cut right through those exact same waves. Together, these elements are what actively guide the organization safely through hostile environments.
Moving right along to Section 2, the strategy lifecycle, the 4 phases.
So how is this discipline actually executed chronologically within an organization? Well, it happens in 4 distinct sequential phases. And now, what's really interesting about this is that everything, absolutely everything, begins with step 1, intent. Before you make a single strategic move, you have to establish your vision, your mission, and your objectives. This is basically deciding exactly what port you're sailing to and why. Once that intent is crystal clear, you move to phase 2, which is formulation. This is where you map out the actual route to get there. Now, here's a crucial insight for you. Most organizations don't fail because they drew a bad map. No, they fail at phase 3, implementation. This is the really hard work. It's getting the whole crew rowing in the exact same direction, adjusting the sails, and actually executing the route you just formulated. And finally, we have phase 4, evaluation. So many companies set their course, go to sleep at the wheel, and ultimately crash. You have to constantly evaluate. Are we still on track? Do we need to course correct? It's a continuous, relentless loop.
Which brings us to Section 3, steering through turbulence, the ultimate goal.
So we've seen the definition and we've walked through the 4-phase life cycle, but we really need to tie this back to the real stakes. And this brilliantly illustrates the core tension. In strategic management, you are constantly balancing a really sharp internal focus against a pretty harsh external reality. Internally, you've got to be hyper-focused on embedding core competencies and shaping that long-term direction. You're basically building up the skills, the unique talents, and the strategic vision inside your own walls. Externally, however, you're facing a reality you absolutely cannot control. We're talking turbulent environments, wild market volatility, and completely unpredictable future challenges. The vital lesson here is that building your internal strength acts as a direct, impenetrable shield against all that external chaos. You can't stop the storm, but you can absolutely build a better ship. When we distill all the source material down, the true importance of strategic management becomes incredibly stark. Let's be real, this isn't just about throwing around corporate buzzwords or doing fun boardroom exercises. This is literally about existence. The process steers the company towards survival. And in today's rapidly shifting market, survival isn't just some baseline expectation. It's a massive achievement. But it doesn't stop there. It ensures deliberate growth, rather than just stagnation. It actively prepares the organization for future challenges that haven't even materialized yet. And by deliberately embedding those core competencies we talked about, it sustains your competitive advantage over the long haul.
survival and sustained advantage. That is the ultimate destination of this entire discipline.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a bit of a challenge. Look closely at the organizations around you, or hey, maybe even the one you work for right now. Look at how they operate on a daily basis. Is your organization truly driven by a deliberate cycle of strategic management? Are they actively shaping their direction, formulating a plan, and carefully evaluating their progress? Or is it simply a ship with no chart, frantically reacting to the turbulence and just crossing its fingers that it doesn't sink? Understanding this difference is the absolute foundation of strategic management. Take this framework, apply it to the real world, and honestly, watch how it completely changes your perspective on organizational survival. Keep learning, keep focusing, and I'll see you in the next explainer.